to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I'm going to be talking about fear, anxiety, and the illusion of control. And something that came up, a little memory bubble that came up today in my morning meeting was the morning drink. And how it became a routine for me. So the reading this morning that we talked about or that we read from was Fear of Fear is what it was called. And it didn't really resonate with me until somebody said, Fear of fear is anxiety. And I was like, oh. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, how alcohol became my way of managing fear and gave me like an illusion of comfort and control. The morning drink, how once I realized that the morning drink was acceptable, I put that in quotes because it's like it never even struck me that the morning drink was allowed. I mean, that sounds really weird because it's not allowed. I mean, it's not good. But once I realized I could do it, then a whole new world opened up to how I was going to cope with my life. A whole new world opened up as to how I was going to get out of bed in the morning. And thinking that I was fooling everyone. I wasn't fooling anyone. Learning that the freedom I sought through drinking was actually found eventually in facing that fear, sober, facing all of those fears. And I was petrified. I mean, I was petrified to face the day. I remember feeling that way. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing about it, because I felt not only was I committing the slow suicide by drinking, but I was so terrified of living. I had fear and just debilitating anxiety that became routine in my life. It's crazy to even think about where my brain was. I was just in the dark. I was living in the dark and I had no idea. So I was afraid of the future. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of, like I said, the day. I was afraid of life. I was afraid of today in the program, we call it life being lifey. Well, I was afraid of it. I was afraid of things not going perfectly, yet I was doing everything I possibly could unknowingly to make sure that life didn't go perfectly, that life was as difficult as possible. I didn't know that. I thought I was making it as easy as possible. It's so just baffling. It's baffling. So my anxiety was just this constant hum in the background of my daily living. And that idea of it being a constant hum really for me depicts how strong the anxiety was. That the shaking, I could feel it under my skin. I could feel the trembling under my skin. And if I would go without alcohol, it was, you could see it, you know. And what I thought, I've talked about this before, was that I had familial tremor syndrome that ran in my family. It does run in my family. But what I was actually experiencing was withdrawal. And the trembling that was happening under my skin, that was anxiety. And it was like the more I felt it, the more I needed to drink to subside it. Yet the more I drank to try to subside it, the more it came back with a vengeance. The more uncertain that life felt to me, the more expectations I would build about how life should be. And then when life didn't match that picture, the fear grew louder. You see, so it was just like everything was imploding on me. And alcohol was my attempt to silence it all. And the only thing that was happening in the grand scheme of things was that I was silencing my entire life. It was, like I said, imploding on me from the out, from, I don't know, it felt like from the outside in, but I was dying from the inside out. And eventually you could start seeing it. You could start seeing that, I was getting very frail. The color in my face was going away. My hygiene really became non-existent. I think back to that, and I think I don't even know why my he was my boyfriend at the time, why he would have stayed with me. I mean, I must have been just atrocious to be around. And from what I find out, like, I think it was getting to that point that he was, I mean, he told me about a year later after I was sober for a year that it was getting to that point. So this morning drink that became a possibility for me. I don't really know what happened where I all of a sudden realized I can do this in the morning. I think it's because I got to the point where I was feeling so poorly when I woke up that I recognized that the only thing that was going to make me feel better, that was going to bring relief to me, was drinking again. It would make the nausea go away. And I would literally, I mean, this is TMI, but it's important to say it because I know I'm not the only one, that I was throwing up, trying to throw up, like dry heaving in the morning until, like, with a glass of wine beside me on the floor in the bathroom, um, and like trying to do my business by dry heaving and trying to get it out, yet trying to subside it by drinking at the same time. So I was like trying to throw up and drinking the wine until everything got balanced again. And then I was off to the races for the day. I know, it's really scary. And what's really scary to me is that I'm not the only one that has ever happened to, that I hear other people talking about the exact same thing. I hear people talking about in meetings the hygiene going away, the drinking 24/7, the having the alcohol beside the bed so that when I wake up in the middle of the night trembling, that I can have a glass of, throw down some wine to make sure that just subsides so that I don't go through withdrawal before morning. Um, and all the while, what was going through my head was, I know how to fix this. I just need to drink. So that first morning drink was not like with the intention of like, oh, I'm going to start partying this morning. It was about escaping the fear of whatever of the day, of being alive, of getting out of bed. I had a fear of getting out of bed, and that wine would help me do it. So that lukewarm wine that was sitting in the glass from the night before, atop of my AA book. So my AA book has a ring on the cover of it, and I hear a lot of people's AA books have a ring on the cover because that's where that glass of wine would sit when I was reaching my low of my life, where I knew I needed help. I was searching for a solution, and the solution was drinking and reading the book, because I hadn't quite made it there. But sometimes that's what it takes. And they say that the only requirement for membership of AA is a desire to stop drinking. And I went to AA without being sober. That is all it takes, because sometimes we need the seed, and we need repeatedly to have that seed watered by going to meetings and still not quit drinking. That's how baffling and difficult the disease is to overcome. So then eventually that morning drink became this is what I do this time of day. This is what I do when I get out of bed. And it became a routine, and it gave structure to my fears, but yet it was just a temporary cage that just kept being built around me, and then it would crumble, and built around me, and then it would crumble, depending on how drunk I was. So there is this truth about that I have a problem, like recognizing that I was only finding comfort in alcohol, and knowing that that was a problem, yet feeling like, well, if this goes away, what more? I have nothing. I have nothing else. If I stop the drinking, then I have nothing. The comfort I thought that I was finding in alcohol was really just a momentary pause from my anxiety. And I believed that I needed the alcohol in order to function. And I believed that I needed the alcohol to be safe from my own thoughts. But the alcohol was pinning my thoughts into me. The alcohol was making sure that my irrational thinking was pinned inside my head, and it wasn't going to go away. Each sip that I took was just postponing the fear and adding to it. It never erased the fear. And I knew that, but yet what could I do? There was this truth that I knew beneath the relief, but the longer I did it, the stronger that the deception became. So what I thought I was doing, the control that I thought I was having over my fears, was just a complete mirage. And what the only answer, and of course I didn't know this, was complete surrender. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I didn't know that I was waving the white flag when I ended up going to detox. And actually, the first time I went to detox, I wasn't waving the white flag. I was really crawling in to some place that said that they could help me. But I thought they were going to make me better. I did not come to terms with the fact that I had to do anything, because I was lazy. I mean, I have a whole episode about laziness and how I don't want to go down that track because I'll get off of this track, but I feel like there's a lot more to laziness than just being like you don't care. I think laziness, I believe, is attached to a an extraordinary level of caring, um, of fear. So I'm not going to go down that direction because I'll forget what I'm talking about. You know me. And I'm already getting ready to start forgetting. Let me see the note of where I was. So I needed to surrender. And I totally lost my train of thought. See, I tried not to, but so I went to detox, and I remember the guy in detox because I was talking about leaving after like day three. I was on the walker and everything. And after I was on the walker, I was like, I don't need to be here anymore. I mean, that's crazy. The whole thing is just crazy. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. That's what the disease is. But I stayed because I just started to slightly see through the illusion that drinking was constructing around me. I was just getting ready to see through it. The realization came slowly. My dependence, albeit it was on the alcohol, but I was also dependent on not standing up to fear, on hiding. And that's a whole different level of sobriety. That's the emotional sobriety. When I keep walking away from the fear, and I feel like when I don't look at the fear, it feels like I'm free from it. But we all know what it feels like when we have something on our list of to-dos and we keep procrastinating. There's this unsettled feeling in the gut. And that is what I was experiencing on this huge, oh, like all encompassing level where I was never going to feel freedom from anything until I turned around and looked at it. Until I said, okay, this thing on my to-do list, I got to do it. The freedom required me to walk through the very fear that I was trying to escape. And it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't like black and white where I quit drinking and then I'm like, I can look at one thing that was wrong in my life. Oh, well, I have an anxiety problem. There's the solution. I need to just not be anxiety ridden anymore. I need to take some medication. And it wasn't like that. It goes so deep because the anxiety was a lifetime of anxiety. So, why did I feel it? Required different levels of looking at it. So taking my medication started working when I stopped drinking, but that's where the steps come in. The steps come in and we talk about from beginning to end, like, when you go to a talk therapy to a counselor or something like that, and they start talking about your childhood. Well, I did that. I did it tons of times, dozens of times. And they talk about my childhood and stuff. I didn't have a bad childhood. I didn't have anything that was terrible that happened to me. And I hear lots and lots of stories in sobriety. I didn't have that. So what was it? What caused me to be an alcoholic? I'm an alcoholic because I'm an alcoholic. And the anxiety and depression, I believe, is linked to the alcoholism. I believe that there's a lot of chemical imbalance going on inside of me, and I was self-medicating, and the alcohol, it just took off, and the combination was like the perfect storm, and it just grew a life of its own. So sobriety with the 12 steps and the fellowship. I can't stress the importance of the fellowship and being able to use other people's lives to learn about my own. That is the magic of of a sobriety program. That's the tools. Like the steps, yeah, the steps give structure to it, gives a learning structure to it, but using other people's experiences to learn about your own life, I mean, that is just incredible. That's an incredible gift to be able to face your own fears by using how other people faced theirs. Um, that that sense of fear, anticipation that I used to feel and then drink over it is now replaced with anticipation, and then I take a step into it. That's what life is. That's living. And it was life itself that I was afraid of. Um, so it's not easy, but it's simple. It's so simple that there is a program that outlines how to do it, but it's getting to that program that is the hardest part because the fear, I say it all the time, the very thing that's keeping you, the very illness that you have is the thing that's blocking you from seeing that you're sick. And the the fears and the symptoms of being human are exacerbated by the drinking, and it's just impossible to self-reflect when we've got this poison in our bodies. Um, Today, I don't need a drink to calm down. So my father and my stepmother came to visit last night and this morning, and we went out to dinner last night at our new clubhouse and overlooked the water and stuff, and it was so nice. And I saw the other people, so I was facing the restaurant and as opposed to facing the wall, and I saw the waiters and waitresses going by with the glasses of wine and the little mixed drinks and everything. There was one in particular that went by because I'm an alcoholic and I'm always going to be an alcoholic. And I feel that I'm always going to look at one of those fancy glasses with the pink liquid inside and the little cherry hanging out with the toothpick. I'm always going to look at that and my mouth is going to water. And that's what happened. It was like like a pink martini in a martini glass. And the lady walked by and put it down in front of a woman. And then there was a glass of like Chardonnay looking wine that the man was drinking, and my mouth was watering. And I forced myself to look away because that's what I do. It's the next right thing. I don't trust myself. It's not that I would get up and walk over there and take the lady's drink. But I don't want my mind to go past my mouth watering. I I know that that doesn't serve me, and this life of gratitude and this life absent of irrational fear, those those thoughts don't serve me. And I know that those thoughts, if I allow them, are going to lead to me waking up in the middle of the night and rolling over and picking up a lukewarm glass of wine. That's the truth. That's what alcoholism is. And instead of waking up in the middle of the night and rolling over to a lukewarm glass of Chardonnay, the only time I'm waking up in the middle of the night now, at the age of 51, is to use the bathroom. And that's all I want to wake up for. When I wake up in the morning, I want to I want to go look at the water today. I want to I want to feel the sun on my skin today. I want to blow the fall leaves out of the yard today. I want to walk my dog. That's what I think about today. And when I was drinking, I didn't think of anything. I didn't think of anything except for the drink. 100% focused all the time on alcohol. Um, it's just, and honestly, 100% focused on fear, the fear of fear, that undercurrent, constant undercurrent of anxiety about the future, the past, the present, and the future, and expectations, unmet expectations, impossible expectations. I don't want to live like that, and I don't have to, and I see it very clearly. And as long as I keep showing up for myself every day, then I'm gonna continue to live this version of my life, and I'm so grateful that I do. I'm so grateful that I do. So thank you so much for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.